Hello, everyone. Good morning, where you are. Coming in the sunset here. Hey, come here. We still have for until I'm gonna get like 30 seconds till people get on here. We still have Pepe, the little neighborhood dog. I have to explain this to you because like it's not. I don't go around taking dogs at all. Good morning, Jessica. Welcome. So if you weren't on yesterday, we have this dog. Hey, Pepe. He doesn't know his name yet, but actually we named him Pepe because he like when he walks in front of us, he has this like tail, this bushy tail that goes up, and it's like this gray white on the like the underside, and he walks like this, like just like Pepe Le Pew, and he's so little, and he kind of like floats when he when he walks around town. He struts his stuff around town. So yesterday Bud and I were walking and he joined us and he was playing with our dog Priya and he walked with us the entire time. Like we couldn't lose him and he would run off and then come back and we walked all the way back up the hill back to our place here and like he was like so dedicated to being with us that we're like, okay, we got to give him a drink. It's obviously knowing that inviting him in was not going to be was not going to be easy on any of us, but he came in, and then we started calling him Little Turd, which is when Bud starts to like something. He's too manly to be like. He's really not actually, but he's got this facade that he has to keep on and keep up, and he won't just be like, oh, I love this dog. I'll just be like, he's a little turd, and that's when I know this dog's getting to him. We had friends over last night, and he was just in the middle of the whole party, just like loving on all the attention, and he slept really well. And so we got up this morning, and the plan was to do our normal walk. We did over 4 miles today, and we thought for sure he would wander off. He stayed with us the entire time again. And like we'd go into stores and we went and had lunch, and he just laid outside the stores and waited for us. And we'd watch him run off. We'll be like, oh, like we lost him. And we'd come back out and that damn dog would still be there, and he'd catch up with us and all doing this. So anyway, we have ourselves a dog now that we are kind of becoming really close with, and we really like this dog, but we weren't ready for one, and yet now here we are. So Little Turd is still with us, and the only downside he has is he likes to bark at things, so that's kind of annoying. But anyway, okay, to the Daily Tune In. Welcome, everyone. I wanted to give you a little story or something while we were getting organized here. Good morning, Christine. Hi, Shining Soul. Right back to you. Kazembe, hello from London. And Lisa, new family member. Yes, new family member. But he's super sweet. And he's not the kind of it's not the dog I would go in looking for or like into a, I've always, not always, but I've pretty much rescued most dogs that I've ever had. So I wouldn't ever choose him, but because, it's like he's actually exactly like majority of humanity, I've noticed, because he walks around like I said, he's all like confident, and he barks at everybody and all the dogs, and especially now with Priya, like he thinks Priya is like his territory. So like all the dogs that tried to, come and play with her, he like fights them away. He's all like aggressive, but not like mean aggressive. He's just like, nope, this is my family now. And then, but he gets here and he's like this melting pot of like love. He like gets on. We don't let him on the couch or anything, but if I sit on the floor, he'll come and lay on my lap, and he just is like this puddle of love. But he won't let himself be that in the world because he's been vulnerable. So it's like I see all of these. He's like like I'm trying to bring him up to 5D now. It's like, all right, dog, you don't even know who you just adopted, because we're gonna break that aggressiveness, that like 3D. I gotta like fight for my right, and I gotta fight for my family and all of that. Like we're just gonna be love. So we've got some work to do. He did choose us, Jeannie. Like we laugh at him. That's why I call him Little Turd, because we're like, you little turd. Like you saw us and you were like, I got them. Cam, I think he is an angel. He's the sweet little thing. He doesn't show up as like the cute little angel. He's like the rugged angel that shows up in the movies, and you're like, ooh, that doesn't look like an angel, and he's kind of cranky at times. Okay, sorry guys, I rambled too long about Little Turd, but I think he's going to be part of Daily Tune-ins for a little bit. So Right. All day we were walking and I was like, I don't really know. I haven't gotten like an overall message for this for today. And I wanted, so, the plan was really to come together and kind of see where you guys were. Because though if there's one thing I do know, it is that this week felt really intense. And to me, it felt different. And I know for some of you, and as we got together on our Ascension calls and in the Ascension Bank member Telegram, I've been kind of watching what you guys talking about different symptoms, so to speak, and like symptoms seem to have been a little experienced a little bit more intensely this week. I know just energetically, it's been a little bit. It hasn't been heavy. It's been more like just really bold. And I wanted to. We had. I don't know if you all saw it, but there was. Oh shoot! I meant to bring it up before I got on here. There was a massive, massive solar flare that shot off the backside of the sun, and I saw words to it that I wanted to read to you because this kind, if you're in this world and you follow the things, um, there's the potential for a rather large solar flash, and we kind of got something um, the other yesterday. It came off, and I want to read this to you because I believe we're going to be getting some more symptoms like over the weekend. So I want you to pay attention, or not want to. I'm asking, observing. To really pay attention to your energy, to your body, to your physical symptoms, because I do believe that when we are kind of surrounded in this energy from this pretty massive solar flare, that we will all have even more symptoms than we've had this week, and it's been rather intensive. And when I sat down today, I'm going to read this in a sec, but when I sat down today, literally to hit go live, I got the message that you've been scrubbed. We've been scrubbed. And what that knowing was is over this week, and I kind of and I was like, that makes sense. And it's hard to explain, but like if you imagine yourself getting a sponge, and it's soft, right? But it cleans your pans. But if you were to like just sit there and scrub it, for a while on yourself, or maybe if you have like a loofah, like a loofah, that's the metaphor. And it feels really good, but like some areas you're like, hey, when you're doing the loofah. And the loofah is the purpose of it is to pull off like all of the kind of like the dead skin and all of the residue, right? That just like using soap doesn't do. That was the more of the image, or the message with the scrubbing. It's almost as if we have gotten this past week, we have gotten an energetic scrubbing to really remove the residue of anything that's any particles, any waveforms, any energetic dirt that's hanging on. And I don't get the sense that this is dirt, like densities. It's not like they're scrubbing off anything for you. There's nothing that we've talked this week about being purified, right? So that made sense too with the scrubbing. We're being purified, and sometimes that means when we're getting purified energetically, it means like we are not going, like the light is going on all of those things that you might be avoiding, which is what we talked about yesterday. Any relationships that are just really hard, you might be outgrowing them, maybe jobs, you're just outgrowing them, or whatever it is. And I say outgrowing them because your resonance, your consciousness, as it rises and grows, and you have a job or something in the system, maybe a job or maybe a relationship that's been around for a long time, and it's been good. But as you rise, you are outgrowing the consciousness of this organism, of this consciousness that was you in this job, the relationship you have, or you and so who is a relationship. You and what other could with anything that we have, and it's like every situation, every one of you have something different. So that thing is being what has been purified this week because it's been lightened, like completely enlightened for you, so that you can no longer deny it, right? And anything where you're kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe it'll change, maybe it'll, maybe it'll rise with me, maybe the solar flash will come this week and just take care of it all. But it's not really how it's going to be. So that all of that has been purified. And then the scrubbing is kind of like, when you have an injury or like an open sore, sometimes you got to scrub it to all around the skin. And I mean, and it could be a little bit, well, not could be, it probably is usually pretty uncomfortable. I haven't really done that for myself and probably ever, but I've seen it on TV, but we know that they do that. Like, when you have a good open wound, you have to scrub around it to make sure that it stays purified so it can heal. That's kind of the energetic scrubbing we got this week. And that's why many of you I know are feeling symptoms, ascension symptoms. And I also feel like those are changing. So what we had as far as, the headaches and or gut stuff, that the ears ringing, that's going to remain, because that's like we are hearing these new tones. Like we are hearing new tones. It's just like, how dogs can hear different frequency tones than humans. We are now, because we are rising, we are changing as humans. So we are hearing new tones. And so those tones are not, they're not to be annoying at all. They kind of flow with the just the flow of our own growth. So to me, it's soothing, because it's a constant reminder, not constant, but when I do tune into it, which is often, not because it's annoying, but because it soothes me into knowing, like, now I'm hearing in physicality, in my 3D senses, I am hearing these changes happening. We are receiving information through these tones. And these tones are then meeting those light packets that are going all through our bodies, through our DNA, and then through our energy system. So there's so much scrubbing going on to cleanse and purify us. The next question I have, though, is what are we getting cleansed and purified for? I don't have the answer to that, so you have to stay tuned to next week. So I've asked a question and I always get answers, but I'm not supposed to have an answer for you today, because that is my guide's way of having you all tune in next week. So, also with the symptoms, I said they're changing a little bit. Tones are still there. I'm just feeling, and it's not even tired. It's more like out of it. It's almost, like, and this is how I explained it to Bud this morning. How, like, back in the day, you partied too hard the night before and you get up and you try to go to work. Back in my 20s, like, I lived in Chicago and it was like I had zero responsibilities. It was before kids, before marriage, before any of it. I lived in Chicago and I was single and worked this company that had an amazing group of people that were my age. And we did that life for a while, where like we go to work and work all day and have, like, fun at work. And then we go across the street to the Billy Goat Tavern that was made famous on Saturday Night Live like millions of years ago. We literally would go over to the Billy Goat, have a couple beers, and then be like, "Where are we going next?" And we'd end up going dancing at night, like late night, and getting home late night, and then the next day, like showing up to work, being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I made it! Oh my god, I'm here!" And then we like piece the night together. Not, I mean, like, not proud of it, but it was just what we did back then. But when you're at work and you're like trying to concentrate and you have the stupids, right? Like I always called them the stupids. I'm like, man, I have a serious case of the stupids, where it's like, like forming a sentence is hard. Like your boss would call, or like you in the office, you're like, and trying to put sentences together, or just feeling foggy brained. That's it. Feeling foggy brained. That's how I feel all day today. So when I sat down, they said, you're like getting scrubbed. Like, I think that's a lot of it. When you scrub something, it's kind of like, it feels a little yucky, but you kind of know it's a good thing. That's how I feel. So it's interesting going into these next 2 days to pay attention to this now, okay? Because now we're adding on to what was we had full moon energies, and we had quite a few smaller solar flares and CMEs in these last couple of days. So we have just been kind of walloped on top of that like massive tsunami that we've been navigating since the second. So it was like compounded this week. So if you feel really, really bowled over, that's why. And one more thing about this too, and I also am feeling as though the symptoms are changing, where it was very physical for months, for this past year, a lot of physical stuff. And it almost feels like we're kind of through that phase. And this phase of getting scrubbed and like our energy's kind of like, it's not as physical, but it's like a little bit like, is this weird? Or I feel weird? What is this? So it's really helping us to tune into ourselves energetically, because when we had physical symptoms, we could, that's easier to be like, oh yes, I have a massive migraine, I'm probably getting down, uploads or downloads or whatever you call them. Oh, my gut area. So your lower root chakras, which is your the three lower chakras, are associated with your physical body. So a lot of people, as those first three chakras were kind of getting a lot of work in this process over this last year, a lot of people were having gut issues, whether they were constipated or had diarrhea. Like it was all all over the place. Heart stuff, like we were feeling some heart palpitations through the fall because of those energies. Our heart chakras are getting some pretty massive upgrades. So that was palpable. We could feel it. But that big purge of the physical is now coming into purified. Like now we're just being purified. We're everything's coming up to speed together. Everything's kind of like figuring out how to operate together with this, the spiritual, the higher self being more in the operating in the pilot seat, and the energy body is now working more with the physical body. The ego mind is working with the spiritual mind. So everything's just kind of coming into what I feel like is this well-oiled machine, that then once we kind of get all of the kinks worked out and all the scrubbing done and all of that stuff kind of flies, for those of us who are in this community, for this collective, because I think we're all in this particular conversation and in this phase of what I'll call ascension of this process together. So that's how, that because this conversation resonates with all of us. So there are other pockets of people and people you may know who are not even in this phase. They're still going through potentially, if they are still at a lower frequency, they're going through a lot of the physical changes, right? The physical symptoms, yes, the physical body symptoms, but also the life kind of falling apart stuff. We're kind of ascended from that, so we are in a different phase. So that's why your process or your place in this process might be a little bit different from those around you. But let me read real quickly, and then I want to see what you guys are. If you could just put in like some symptoms, or I'd like to just kind of get a collective read on how you all are feeling, any symptoms, brain fog, like anything. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want to hear what you like. I'm talking about what I'm feeling, but I want to hear it from you. Okay. Here's this update I wanted to read, because it has the best words that I would have I could put together. We had one of the largest. Okay, so let me just read it from the beginning. Earth's sun is undergoing a rapid transformation at this time. We know that, right? And energetic levels in the sun's corona are rising towards an apex. Approximately 72 hours ago, an unprecedented and incredible X-level solar flare blasted off the backside of the sun, reverberating a massive shockwave throughout. This is so cool. Throughout the entire solar system. Consensus among leaders in the I'll get to it. In that world, who researches that world, confirms that this was the largest solar flare in recent history. The size, intensity, and speed of this latest monster flare was estimated to be at least an X9 class. And I follow this stuff like enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be an expert. And I've seen like an like a X2, I think was the highest I've seen. So an X9, but it could possibly be up to, they're still researching it, could still be up to an X29. Didn't even know it went that high actually, which is larger than the Carrington event. You might want to research that. That was kind of cool to look at that. I've seen that a while ago, but it'll give you an idea. So if we do get this solar flare, if there's something that erupts like this from the sun, the earth facing side of the sun, we're gonna see some pretty big things. I'm gonna talk about that. But the last time anything like that happened was the Carrington event in 1859, the most powerful space weather event ever recorded. Okay, you keep going. An exotic wave, I love this, exotic wave of light from this huge explosion traveled millions of miles into space at near instant speeds. And through this was a backside flare, a massive full plasma halo completely enveloped planet Earth. So even though the solar flare went off of the backside of the sun, it's still, as you said, a full plasma halo completely enveloped Earth. So that's the scrubbing that we got. That is what like kind of was like whoo, enveloped each of us, our planet and us, and it was like I imagine like these little scrubby things, like kind of like the bubbles of what's that scrubber thing that's so toxic, but I remember the commercials. So that's how I kind of imagine it. I'm not saying that that's a scientific thing that happened, but when I read this and then I got the words "you've been scrubbed," I was like, okay, this is making sense. I'm understanding in metaphor what has been happening, especially in the last 72 hours. Okay, so just to keep this in perspective, something this size, so astronomers, professional astronomers have said that this massive flare, if it had been Earth facing, this massive flare was a matrix kill shot, meaning it would have toasted the electrical grids of the 3D matrix. So all of our, our grids and technology and stuff for good if it had been a direct impact. This is not to be feared, right? This is just to give you an idea of the kind of energy that we're staying in. We are going to be okay. If and when this solar flash comes in, it is in our highest and best good, and we are going to be protected from it, from the benevolent forces that are helping us. Okay, so as far as the living entity, okay. One more thing, I want to read this to you. Okay, and this is from Quantum96 on Instagram, if anyone else does this. So this is something, again, I want to read something else to you so it quantifies what we talk about here. It confirms what we talk about here. The living entities of Earth, human beings, a super wave of high vibrational solar light, gamma light, which we've talked about on here. We've talked about the gamma light, released from a solar flare like this would activate dormant DNA strands. So that's already happening. It's been progressively happening, but something like this hitting us would do like an automatic activation near instantly and propel the beings of Earth directly into the fifth dimension. So pretty powerful stuff that we have been working through this week, these last 3 weeks, especially. Tuesday is the 22nd. So we're kind of coming into those final few days of that massive tsunami of energy that we've been coming through. And then, as we probably could have expected this week, we just got hammered and we are being scrubbed. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. I feel heavy, no energy at all. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't like it's interesting. I'm grateful because I don't feel the heaviness now. I just feel like just washed out, like not exhausted. There's like a difference, and I don't know the words. I can't put words to it. But like I said, I just feel kind of out of it, and it's just really interesting because I'm pretty much into pretty conscious of things, but just today I was kind of wandering, and I just felt like I was wandering, and then I would come to and be like, oh God, we still have a little turd next to us, So every time I want, I just kind of lost not lost consciousness, but I just like lost attention. And then I would bring myself back into the moment and be like, wait, here I am again. So it was a lot of that. It was like I was floaty. I feel very floaty. Okay, let me go. I'm just going to go all the way up. Good morning. He chose you. Yes. I saw that on the Schumann. I haven't looked at the Schumann at all for weeks. So I have to go back and look and see what it's doing. If I could attach a picture, I would. Oh, okay. Lisa, what Schumann do you use? La, 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 la. Last night, I think I got visited and they dropped a strong, sharp, short sound. Oh my gosh, like if a UFO came and swooped above my house. Oh, Dominique, that's pretty cool. They dropped a strong okay, so I just want to share everyone's experiences so we can kind of like tune into things. Like we hear things all the time, and our brain automatically is like, oh, that's a this, or oh, that's a car in the distance, or oh, but like really, because I mean, literally, I shared last week how Bud and I were, out here on the deck, and I had this pot right here, boiling water in it. I'd completely forgotten about it, and all of a sudden, I'll show you. This is what it was. It was this. Like I heard that noise, and all of a sudden, Bud and I were like, "What is that noise?" And then like I snapped into. I was like, "Oh shoot, I got water on." Then I ran out here because I was afraid it was burning the pot because it had been on for a while. And when I got out here, it was like perfectly bubbling. It was like ready to put the pasta in. And I was like, honey, these like my team, like they were banging on, like, come get your water before it goes to the other side where I was burning the pot. It's like they're telling me it's perfect. And like he was laughing because he was like, man, babe, he's like, your stuff. But he's like, we couldn't deny. I was like, you can't deny that's what we both heard. So all of that to say, like, yes, things will make your brain and your mind will give you logical reasons for hearing things. But Dominique, what you said, that they dropped a strong, sharp, short sound. I'd love to know what that sound is. Like if a UFO came and swooped above. So remember, we've also talked about, I think it was last week, contact, like most people aren't going to be able to have this conversation with you. So like bring it here, bring these conversations here, bring it into, especially our members Telegram group, because it's a safe place to share, and like you can be you and talk about your weird, and no one's going to judge you because we're going to be like, yes, we need you all to talk about your weird within this community so we can support and we can put pieces together. So let this be that place that you can be like, but I think I got contacted. Because if I went to my neighbor and like Eric next door, coolest dude, but if I was like, hey Eric, like, just so you know, you might be contacted with aliens soon. He would never be my friend again. So we've got to like discern. And then we also talk about discernment this week. Discern who you're talking about this, because it'll be really easy for someone in a lower frequency, not that they're lower, like less intelligent or anything like that, but sometimes it feels like they are, right? But working on that. We're all working on that. But the lower frequencies aren't going to have this experience, so they won't know. And what they don't know, they think is weird. They'll talk you out of it. They'll think you're crazy because they have never been in those higher frequencies where contact, and we've all mostly, I think, for the most part, have been in the frequencies where we've had enough awareness of our guides, of angels, of that other world, right? The unseen world. But now, as we've risen up, we're going to be having more contact. And, they might not be like, "Bzz," and like they're standing in your living room. But again, they're not going to do anything like that if it's going to cause hysteria or fear of any kind. So, but they're going to be doing little things like kind of coming into your reality with like banging on the thing to give you warnings, or coming at night like Dominique, with like weird sounds that maybe you're like, I've never heard that sound yet. Like, don't overthink it. Just know that this is happening, and when it happens to you, connect with it, and ask for another sign, or ask for confirmation that what you just heard was your team. And immediately also just be like, just like, hey, by the way, any like, y'all are invited, but if you are of a lower frequency than me or below, you can leave, because though if anything, like, it is a free will universe, and the only people invited to your party are those that you invite, and your energetic party, and those of an even frequency or higher. Okay, yes, I felt really out of it on the drive to work last night, kind of zoning out. Luckily, not much traffic. Ground myself really well when I got it to work. Yeah, that's how I feel it. I've had heart palpitations every day this week, and not all day long, sporadic. Okay, good. Because if there's something that's, and I say this a lot because there's that fine line, and I don't want to, you know, take anyone's attention away from something physical. If you do have something physical, you don't want to ignore it, because the other thing too is, I mean, we've done a lot of this purging already, but as energy gets pulled out, like the denser energies have been pulled out, it will create physical symptoms, and we know that, right? So those symptoms are typically temporary, they don't last forever. But it could cause, like, if there's something in kidneys or in other areas, could pull out like masses, or it could pull out any kind of densities within organs or whatever. So you don't want to ignore something. So if you have kind of sporadic stuff, it's probably ascension stuff. If it's long term, if it's something that's not going away and it's more chronic, it probably still is this process. But yet you do want to maybe see someone that you trust, whether it's a doctor, a naturopath, or something like that, just to make sure. Like, you don't want to ignore anything, be like, oh, it's just ascension, you know because right? One of my friends fainted in the registry's office last week. So much weird things. Okay, interesting. I don't know what that is, but still, like, what came to me is kind of the uh, um, okay, I'll share that. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I talk too much, but I have, I don't ever faint. I've never, like, I can't recall a time that I fainted. But when Bud and I were traveling from Mexico to Ukraine, we had to stop in Turkey, and it was like, that upgrade, that growth spurt was so big energetically. I was, and it came with a lot of fear and like everything. It was another initiation, and that was when I was leaving that side of the world where my kids were, and I was like questioning everything, and hadn't purged a lot of, like the deeper stuff yet. That was what for Ukraine was for. So I was still carrying around a lot of fear, and we were having some issues with the dog, and we were there for 4 hours just at this desk, just like taking care of dog stuff. And like the guy would be like, all right, I'll be right back. And, 3 hours later, he would, or not 3 hours, 30 minutes later, it would be 30 minutes. And I would just be standing at this desk. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh my God, like I feel dizzy. And I was like, is this what happens when people faint? And all of a sudden I was like kind of doing this. I was like convulsing, and then like and I'm super aware of my body. I'm super aware of this stuff because I'm fascinated by it. And I went down, like I didn't go like and like pass out and hit my head or anything, but I just kind of was able to sit myself down. But this beautiful man came up to me and he's like, "You're okay?" And I was like, "I just need my husband. Will you please?" Like, and he had gone off to go to the bathroom. I was like, "I just want my husband." I was so like weirded out. All that to say though, when I got on the plane, then we were finally relaxed. I was like tuning into my guides. I was like, "What the hell was that?" And sometimes when we jump timelines, or we jump frequencies, maybe we have like a massive growth spurt, so to speak, when you grow fast, or when toddlers or kids. I remember my kids, they didn't really, they took naps, but like they would sleep for long naps when they were going through growth spurts. And sometimes energetically, when we take a big like jump in energy, then we could pass out, right? Like, because it's like such a massive dimensionality change. So that could be it. Who knows? But that's the answer that I got, was like facing the fear that I was in that moment, going from Mexico and taking that big leap of faith, and like turning my back and being like, okay, I'm going halfway across the world to a place I don't know, away from my kids. This seems logically so dumb and nothing I would ever do and ever choose, but yet I'm choosing it and it feels so right. And after that first big leg from Mexico to Turkey, like now that, like, being on the continent that I was, a completely different energetic physicality, completely different. Like then at this point, like I was committed. So there was a huge jump in consciousness. And that's what the answer I got was as to why I fainted. But you could put logical things on. I hadn't eaten for a while and I was stressed out and all the things. But when it comes down to why does anything physically happen? It physically happens because it happens first in energy. So if I know the reason for the energy, then it helps to understand the physicality of it. I feel heavy, no energy at all. So I've had a house finch visiting me every day the last couple of weeks. I looked up that what that symbolizes, and it is a symbol of ascension. That's so cool. I had no idea. Oh, that's weird. We just passed a whole bunch of this. Oh, that's weird, Jessica. I have to look that up now because I'm curious. See, this is why I love these conversations because I learn stuff too. We were walking, Bud and I were walking, we went past this like thing, and I was like, "Oh, I hear birds. I love the sound of birds." But it wasn't like like a natural bird. So it was like a lot of birds. And we went past this thing, and there was like bird cages all around, and there were finches, and I didn't know they were finches, and Bud's like, "Oh, they're finches," and then I was like, "Oh, they're all in these cages." I wanted to go and open a bulb, and then I was like, "But if I open them up, they may not know how to survive," and all that. It was like a whole thing, but they're finches, so I'm gonna go look at that. So thank you, Jessica. 9 is the ascension numbers. Scrubbing bubbles, scrubbing bubbles. Yes, Christine, thank you. I gotta show you guys this. Look at these two dogs. Can you see them? They're all curled up together in the sun. Shoot. Little turd, I think, is part of our family now. Kazembe says headache, body vibrating, as well as very itchy eyes. Oh, interesting. Okay. I have two things too to corroborate that, to confirm that as well. Kazembe, thank you for that. I didn't think about it. Body vibrating. I was jolting, like not like stupid jolting, like, I mean, it's not stupid, but I use stupid in very weird different terms. But I was more like last night, I was kind of I could feel surges. I don't know if I was physically jolting, but I could feel it pulsating through my body. So that I don't know if anyone else is feeling that. So yes, I agree with that. And the itchy eyes, you can't see it, but on Priya, she's our dog. She has skin problems, and last night she around her eye flared up and got real swollen, and I think it itches because then she rubbed it overnight, and we were sleeping, so we didn't know. We got up and she was just bloody. So now we're like, clean, keeping her clean and stuff. But it's interesting because all day she's been trying to itch her eye. So funny. Itchy eyes is interesting too because symptoms, I always look at the symptoms. Where is it in the body? The eyes, third eye, maybe Kazembe, you're getting a pretty good scrubbing of the third eye energetically, which then has physical, symptoms. So it could be that you're getting quite the scrubbing of your third eye. Sorry, I have this weird shadow now because the sun's moving. These past solar flares are reason for inner Earth beings. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense, Lisa. I'd like to know more about that. What you say about that, because I feel a lot of truth in it, but nothing's coming to me. So I'm interested in that. Let's all put our energetic heads together and ask for more information on um, yeah, higher consciousness. I mean, I kind of get the pieces, but there's something more in that I have a question on, but I don't know what that question is. My eyes have been so itchy and dry. Interesting, Carol. I feel light and floaty, scattered, focused. Yeah, itchy. Okay, that's crazy. Like that, I haven't had any itchiness. Now I'm gonna be like itching all over just because now it's in my consciousness. But that's interesting. Feels like a huge storm has passed. I feel like that too, Cam. It feels lighter, even though we're like it's kind of like not the calm after the storm, but like after hurricanes, people are walking around, they're like, oh my God, like kind of not looking at the damage, but it feels like the other side of the storm. It does. Like I agree with that energy of like, what just happened? Like, we got to scrub. What does that mean? So, all of that to say, pay attention this weekend because I think we're going to get more and more illumination on what this really was. What was that storm, that tsunami that just hit us? Like, I really think now we're going to be not, I think, but we're going to start noticing in our physical worlds what this was all about. My human ego is on high alert to find so much information. I ask it to surrender to what is. Yeah, It's funny because Lisa, that you said that, because I know Trish in our is one of our members. She mentioned the other day on our call. She's like, I have zero interest in finding knowledge. And when she said it, I like, that's where I am. So I'm in the polar opposite where like I don't want to go, I don't want to learn anything. Actually, you know what I've been learning? I've see my hair. Oh, you can't really see it. I've been not wanting to search anything on spirituality, or like I don't want to do any knowledge based stuff. Like I want to allow my own knowledge base to come online. And so it's like I don't want to confuse myself with information. So and that's not normally how I operate. Like that's how I connect a lot of dots. But for some reason, I've been less interested in getting information on like the things that I typically do. So I've been watching like stupid hair videos and stuff. So you'll see me probably doing the hair stuff. And like I have no coordination to do my hair, but it's pretty funny me trying. Super itchy recently too. That's interesting. I heard that when these things happen, ask for clarity now, just like, yeah, in lucid dreaming. Thank you, Lisa, for saying that, because you're absolutely right. And I tend to take for granted some of the things that I do. But if I ever get anything, I'm just like, what? Can you clarify that, or give me some clarification, or illuminate that a little bit more? Because I don't like literally pretend. If you have to, like, to me, it's no longer pretending. Like I have this running conversation constantly going, and it is like, to me, I imagine it being like, when like soldiers are on in the field, right? They still have their walkie talkies. It's not walkie talkies anymore, but they have their communication with their command center, right? That's how we have our communication on at all times. We are on our earth mission as human beings to find out who the hell we are, right? And to come out and to evolve and become these souls that then go to the next place, wherever that is, after our earth training. But while we're in training, we are in constant command and communication with our command center or our council, whatever you want to call it, our teams. So like, yeah, if you don't know which way to go, like that's, if you think of, in military aspects, they don't know which way to go. They've got their command center that has all of the perspectives. They got all the viewpoints, and they can say, okay, go, northwest or whatever. We have that same capability to be able to, which way do I go now? What do I choose? Or can you clarify that? I need some more clarification. So thank you for saying that, Lisa. Carol says, last night during a dream here in Florida, I was awakened to a feeling of a craft beings or something hovering over the house. It felt very comforting and peaceful, and I fell back asleep. Yeah, I took these pictures. I don't ever say it on Instagram because, it's such an open field for people who don't have the perspective that we do to say stuff. But the other night we had some crazy clouds, and I had that same feeling. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but I told Bud, I don't know if you can see this. This is the view from our deck. And I was looking out, and there was this massive cloud that was over, like, and it was all over Saranda. I told Bud, I was like, doesn't it look like we're like kind of looking out? We were looking out, and this is like a window of like a ship. Like I was like, I feel like we're on a ship, and like it's, we're surrounded by it. And that was like looking out the thing. And he had a good laugh, but he's like, yeah, kind of, So all that to say, I had this like a very similar experience, Carol, feeling like, or almost like seeing, not almost, but seeing this thing. And I was like, it feels like that too, because it was such a weird, the sky got just strange, it got these big old, then it moved into this, and like, it was very biblical is how I put it. So Jeannie says, a friend asked me about heart palpitations as a symptom in her husband. I said that I feel ascension symptoms are a nuisance, not dangerous. Yes, that's what I used to decide if I need to see a doctor. Really, yeah, good, Jeannie. I like that. It's a pain, like it's a pain in the neck, or it's like oh, woo, 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 some like expansion of the heart. Like it just, when you get to this point, when you're talking ascension, you're tuned in enough to your body. So when something's like, you're like, oh, I just got to ride this out, right? This is just like an emotional wave that we would get. We know we have to ride it out. Here's a physical wave of purging. I got to ride this out. And then you're in tuned enough to be like, this doesn't feel right. So this is also where you start to build that relationship with your team. My left eye is very itchy. I am really lots of crown tingling. Yes, crown tingling is like like I'm gonna come back to the genie or the itchy, but I literally have almost felt like people like not people, but I feel like they're doing this. Like I've got had the tingling yeah, a lot, but now it's almost like palpable. Like, hello, we're here. Like I swear my team is like funny because they just know like that I can handle it, and I'll be like, "That's so awesome! Like, keep doing weird stuff. I love it." But I have felt almost more physical touch, and like not in an inappropriate way, but in like a friendly kind of way. But I'm really interested in the itchy. So let's just, as a collective, ask for more clarity on what this itchiness is. I mean, it could be the scrubbing. Like it feels like that could be it. Sometimes scrubbing a little bit hurts. It's like I don't. It kind of feels like it's scratching an itch a lot. So I think that's kind of it. And now I'm itching, right? I'm curious because nothing's coming to me as far as the itchiness. So whatever that means, I want more clarity. Thank you. And my sister and I can tell when ships are around our area too. The clouds do some weird, funky things when they are here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, there's been, we hear, the ships are everywhere. They're in the skies. And we have been very much conditioned to know clouds. Um, and now, as we ascend into higher realms, we start critically thinking, we start asking questions, asking higher questions, and also kind of breaking down those old paradigms. So I also have I would suggest, just let's ask for more clarity on clouds and what that might be, because as we know, when we mess with photographs on, Photoshop or whatever, you can change transparency of things. Something can you can change like the color, you can change filters, you can. There's a lot of stuff that can be done that we have control of doing to our own pictures, to our own visuals. So, can we then surmise or ask or assume, not assume, but what's the word I'm looking for? Can't, that maybe what we've been taught about clouds is partially true, because I think a lot of the things that we've been taught out of, there's like that little nugget of truth, but all the information around it is what's been manipulated. But if we go to, back to the original truth, like what are these clouds? And when clouds come that look like the skies did the other night here, and what you're talking about, Tara, like when you get a feeling of like that is not just a regular cloud, maybe ask for clarity, maybe ask for a sign above and beyond, like a signier sign. Have y'all seen those memes? But like just ask for clarity. Am I looking at a cloud, or am I looking at something else? So I think this is where we are going to be doing a lot more practicing. We're going to see a lot of weird and more out of the ordinary, and we're going to experience more out of the ordinary things in our physical reality. That's going to make us question and going to make us start to be like, wait a minute, is this what I think it is? So that we can become more confident in that contact that we're having. Or those muscle spasms, like a nudge from our teams. Oh, interesting. Okay, I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, I could see totally how that would be. This has been a good one. Like this has even opened up questions for me too. Not that I like you wouldn't. I don't come on here knowing everything, but I kind of like this whole format of us having a little bit more of a conversation about things. Maybe we'll do this on Fridays or whatever, whenever we want. Because now I have a couple questions that I have out there that I'm going to be looking, for answers on in the next couple hours and the next day or two. Because I typically know pretty much now when I ask a question, I'll get an answer pretty quickly. So, thank you for being here this week. As we've gotten our holy breath has gotten purified. We've gotten scrubbed. We've gotten like whammied, even more so by solar flare residue. So it has been a really, really big weekend, or a big week. So as we go into the weekend, rest like we have been called to do. I think it's going to be inevitable. I think a lot of us are, I mean, I just took a nap right before I got on here. I got up, I got up and I was like having to wake myself up a little bit. So I think that we're going to be called to do that so that we can, obviously integrate everything. But I think this was a lot more powerful of a week than we may notice yet. So it'll be interesting to see when we all start noticing, and then we're like, "What?" So make sure you come over to Telegram if you're not a member. I have a secret whatever chat for just our members, but I also have a daily tune in chat. So if you're not there, please come over and find me. I should put it on here, but I don't know the link yet. So if you can't find me on Telegram, just shoot me a message somewhere and I'll send it to you. And also, if you have gotten value from these daily tune-ins this week, please don't forget that this entire platform is donation based. This is my only job, and I do it in service, whether I get paid or not. However, I do need to be paid. We do need to get some residency stuff going here. I have to go to the U.S. Embassy next Tuesday, which is like a 4-hour drive from here. So I've got lots of stuff that needs to be paid. So if you are feeling generous and would like to send a donation for the time and energy and the value that you get from here, I would really appreciate it. I have a link up top. That then reminds me, Monday and Tuesday is a little bit weird because we're leaving on Monday to drive up there. I think we'll be up there in time for me to do the daily tune in up there. But if you don't hear from me, or if you're not already on my email list, you can go to VadetteMayer.com and get on the email list. And that's how I'm going to communicate with, and of course on social media too, but in case you miss it, you can get it in your inbox. So I will communicate what's going to happen Monday and Tuesday, because I don't really know what's going to happen yet. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for any donations that you are willing to send. I am super grateful. And please also keep me in tuned with what's happening with you physically, energetically throughout the weekend. So I'm just really curious about this. I love, this is research, y'all. We are going through some massive research, and we are the energetic scientists of this entire, not entire, but we are a team of researchers. And I want to put this together so that we can all connect our dots and be able to educate others on what is happening. So just shoot me messages on wherever, you know how to get a hold of me. It's not hard with social media and stuff, but I'm curious to see what your experiences are. So have an amazing weekend. Connect in with your guides, rest, purify, maybe even do a physical scrubbing in the shower and get some exfoliation going so that we can be fully physically, energetically cleansed starting the week, because we are coming to the end of this tsunami on the 22nd. And still don't know what's happening after that. I haven't, again, my team keeps me on a need to know basis. So I don't know where we're going, but I just know we're ending up this part of the trip, and we're about to take a little rest stop period here over the weekend. And then the next phase starts. So until we start the next phase, just rest up. Okay. Love to you all. Mwah. Have a good one.